the Caribbean reef shark. That's what we're going to be diving with today. So, as soon as it was decided that the shark dive was going to be our first dive, people started asking, well, do we have to worry about these sharks? So, with the Caribbean reef sharks, the dive master said, not really a problem. They've dove with them many times before. They bring snorkelers out, never had a problem. They're fairly docile. They know they get fed at the end. We're not really what they want. So he said, we should be okay. Every time I've dove in the Caribbean and have seen a shark, it has been a Caribbean reef shark. They're the most common one that you're going to see, and they range from southern Florida. I think the Keys is about the furthest north that they go, all the way down into Brazil. Can I tell a shark story? Oh, well, I guess I'm going to because no one's going to stop me. So, I think it was in St. Kitts, we were doing a dive, and I remember getting down to the bottom, and I don't know, someone was having some issues, so the dive leader was kind of messing around with them, and I had a camera and the GoPro on, and I just started looking around a little bit before we started our dive, and there was, I think, 4 or 5 Caribbean reef sharks. They were just kind of like sitting a little bit on the bottom. They weren't really concerned that we were there. They weren't really moving around. And instead of going, holy crap, that's a shark, and panicking, I'm like, crap, I want to get a picture. So I swam up and I get ready to take the picture. And as I'm swimming closer, I'm going, John, what the hell's wrong with you? Those are sharks. But I swam up and got my picture anyways. So the Caribbean reef shark has a robust, streamlined body. They got short, broad, rounded snouts. In terms of color, they can be dark gray, maybe gray-brown, and then on the bottom, white, or you might see a whitish yellow that's there. The largest that they're going to get will be up to about 10 feet, and they can get up to about 150 pounds. So in terms of birthing, the females will give a birth to about 4 to 6 young every other year. Generally, these sharks are going to be found in shallow waters, really only several feet deep, down to the drop-offs at the edge of reefs, which might be down to about 90 to 100 feet, maybe a little bit more, but typically they like the shallow waters. And when they're not being fed like when you see here, they generally will swim alone and rarely in schools. The only reason you're seeing them gathering together is they know at some point here they're going to get fed. So they generally will eat the reef-dwelling bony fish, cephalopods, so it'd be kind of like the nautilus type, I don't know if you would call them fish or crustacean, and the occasional diver. Alright, I made that last one up. I guess in the last 100 or so years, there's only been 27 attacks. 4 of them were really unprovoked, but there have been no fatalities from these. So I guess that's why they feel okay or safe diving with them. As long as we respect them and don't scare them, we shouldn't have a problem. So several countries, including the US, have outlawed fishing of the Caribbean reef shark. But the other countries that have not protected them really use them for meat, their skin for leather, the liver oil, and use the meat for sometimes also fish meal. But probably the most prominent use of these reef sharks now is becoming tourism. Several countries are setting up dives to go down to see them. The Bahamas and Bimini, because it's part of the Bahamas, are generally called out as having controversial shark feedings. They say that bringing the sharks in closer to the diver creates an unsafe situation. And really, they say the people that are doing these dives are basically saying it's an educational thing to show that these sharks are docile and shouldn't be hunted to extinction. So there are some points really on both sides. Quite frankly, I saw no aggressiveness. The sharks were curious. They kept circling around, but I think they were just patiently waiting to eat. And in terms of these feedings, no other shark species is actually attracted to these feeding dives. You can bring sharks in, but not as easily and as many as you get with these Caribbean reef sharks. And the last thing that I'll point out with the reef sharks, and this kind of helps out a little bit to understand whether they're threatening or not, it's not like they feel threatened and they're immediately going to come in for an attack. So they essentially will start warning divers, swimmers, whoever. They will start doing an elaborate dance. So I kept an eye out for that, but did not see any. Well, stay tuned to our channel and watch our next, because I think there's going to be one more shark dive.